Hello everyone and welcome to Maggie Mumbles. This is Maggie here, not mumbling, but that's Maggie. This series is all about the adult dog and various different issues that adult dogs might find themselves in. And as Maggie is my Labrador, and she is 9 3/4 now, she felt that she was an appropriate voice for the mature dog. So Maggie has taught many students, but Maggie's ideal platform for teaching is video. She's very happy to be videoed. She's very happy to be involved with that, but she's not so keen at the actual hands-on. So we thought that this is the ideal platform for her. So Maggie Mumbles is on video, and we are talking to our wonderful myotherapists, our Galen Myotherapist, who have either become specialized within a certain area, either from a previous interest within the canine world, or have suddenly become specialized through no fault of their own, through circumstances. And I think it's fair to say this is what's happened to Sue. Sue Maclennan, we're going to be talking to her. She's got an amazing story. Sue is based up in the beautiful north, near Morpeth, or in Morpeth, aren't you, Sue? And you have been a therapist for how many years now?
Ooh, 7, I think.
7 years, 7 years. And Sue is incredibly experienced therapist, but unfortunately, one of her dogs did suffer a rather bad condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Sue, and she's going to describe her rather unique situation with what happened to her and her family. So Sue, welcome to Maggie Mumbles.
Hello, nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's lovely. We don't see enough of you because we're separated geographically, aren't we? So it's
just by a few miles.
Just a miles, just a few miles. So Sue, tell us your story about the wonderful Monty.
So when I qualified in 2013, I mean, it was because of an elderly dog actually that I owned that my interest was kind of sparked into Galen. Yeah. And I can't thank you enough, Julia, for teaching me the skills that have helped my bond. He's coming up to 15 now. When he was just over 12, he was going slightly lame in one of his front legs. Didn't think too much about it. Thought it was possibly muscular. Then the vets thought, oh, it might be a chipped bone, something skeletal. X-rays.
Wasn't responding to your treatment, I'm assuming.
No, he would be fine for a very short 5 minutes, and then he would go lame again. So something was, going on. The vet thought perhaps he'd chipped a bone in maybe his foot or something like that. None of us really expected the results at the X-ray. It turned out he had quite an aggressive bone cancer around about his carpal joint, his wrist joint. And it had actually broken one of the bones. It had broken his radius. So the ulna was in fact splinting the whole limb.
Wow.
I mean, incredible. He was still going out for walks and still happy to go. But obviously I could see that he was in pain. And I could also see, because of what you taught me, that he was no longer weight bearing at all on his front right limb. So the options were very limited: palliative care or amputation. And amputation sounds very drastic, and certainly we were totally flawed. Both Rod, my husband, and me were absolutely just not what we expected. And our first thoughts, to be fair, were, well, he's 12 and he's quite a big dog. He's a Labradoodle, mostly lab, like a big hairy Labrador, really. He weighs about, at that time, I think about 28 kilos.
Yeah, so good, very good size.
Yeah, and front limb, that's a lot of weight bearing on there. And I thought it's not really fair to put him through it. So my original thought was, well, palliative care, and they told us, well, you'd be lucky if he's with you for a month, maybe 3. And I came home, and it was a weekend, it was a Friday, and they said, well, go home over the weekend, have a think. So thanks to Galen, and thanks to knowing lots of people in the doggy world, I rang literally every man and his dog that weekend. I read up on the internet, Dr. Google, you name it.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate that I'd been to a talk given a couple of months before by the amazing Dr. Sue Armstrong. She's a holistic vet up in North Yorkshire, and she'd actually talked about cancer in animals and what it was to be cured, and really interesting talk. At the time, I just thought, well, yeah, it's a nice bit of CPD.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thinking that I would need this information. So I thought, well, I'll email her. She's the person to ask. And I mean, she's a very busy lady, talks all over the world, but she responded almost immediately within an hour and said, the bone's broken, it's not going to heal. His only hope is amputation as soon as you can, because that's very aggressive and it very soon metastasizes to the lung in her experience. So that's what we did. I mean, she gave me the confidence to kind of be Monty's advocate and stand in the vets and say, well, I know my dog and I know that this is worth doing.
Yeah.
So the diagnosis was Friday. On the following Wednesday, he was in having surgery. And
it's just no time to get your mind changed, is it? I mean, it's just days from having a limpy dog.
Yeah. Suddenly, oh my God, he's going to lose his leg. And it's awful. It's so drastic.
Yeah.
One really good piece of advice I got from, I think it was another Tripawd that I'd treated, a little terrier called Maggie, for
oh, brilliant.
She taught me a lot about what to, how it had affected her. She was a much smaller dog than Monty.
Because you were treating her, weren't you? You were treating her for a while.
I'd been treating her for a couple of years. But her owner said to me, I mean, I rang her as well, and she said, the best piece of advice I got was, the dog is not emotionally attached to its limb, but you are. Put that out of your head and just think about the dog. The dog will wake up and there won't be any pain. And that is exactly what happened. We went to pick him up 24 hours after his surgery. We planned it like a military operation, how we were going to get him in the car and how we were going to get him home.
Yeah, because again, he's not a lap dog, is he? He is a big...
Hard to lift. There was 2 of us. It was actually the wonderful Dr. Isla Fishburne, who was another great friend of mine, who helped enormously as well. She came with me to the vet. We planned who was going to be in the car, how we were going to lift him in. And Monty took one look at the ramp and said, I'm not doing that. Hopped in the boot. And he has never looked back. It's been amazing. And he has taught me so much. From day one, really, I started, as soon as I got home, I started with some just gentle myotherapy, thinking, I remembered my lessons about draining the toxins from his body. And it helped me because I felt that I was doing something to help him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is, isn't it? We need to feel like we are involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we started just very gently until after he'd had his stitches out. I was also mindful of a tale you told me about scar tissue. Yeah. So I was, he had staples, I think 26 staples we counted. They took the whole limb and shoulder. And so I just very gently massaged around the wound and trying to keep it, moving, keep the skin moving. When I went back to the vets to have his staples removed a couple of weeks later, they were amazed how well it had healed. And I'm quite sure that was part of it.
Yeah.
It definitely has helped.
Circulation, yeah.
And we were taking him, we let him choose where he wanted to go and how far he wanted to go. People talk about using slings and all that kind of stuff. We had a sling ready, we had ramps ready, but Monty's not that kind of dog. maybe other dogs do need that, but he's quite an independent character.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first day we got him home, he went out and he went to cock his leg outside in the garden, and he stumbled because he'd obviously forgotten he couldn't lean that way. And he looked over his shoulder as if to say, hope nobody saw me doing that.
They actually do that, don't they? They don't want to lose face in anything like that. Yeah. Oh.
He's just amazing. And he worked out, well, if I lean on that tree trunk, then I can still do it.
Incredible. Yeah, because I've treated a few tripods, as they're called, and the ones I've treated are all front leg missing.
Mm-hmm.
Some, most of them don't, as Monty. And I think that it is an extraordinary thing because you can't use exercise particularly to help them keep mobile. They are unstable, so it's difficult to do that. But it's so important to keep them as balanced as we can, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I 100% think that the myotherapy is what's keeping him as mobile as he is, and also he's not in any pain. So I don't need to give him analgesics. Occasionally, if I think he's, looking a bit sore, I might do. But he doesn't have, regular pain relief. I think of people that I know that have, bad backs, dodgy knees, all that kind of thing. Yeah. And they're not as mobile. And I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, I remember the one dog that I treated, he had to have this amputation and had full set of x-rays, and about 18 months on from his amputation and having regular-ish treatments, but having a lot of treatment at home, they x-rayed the front limb, the remaining front limb, and they were expecting to see arthritis onset, or at least a beginning of it. They were also expecting to see the bone had distorted because, of course, the bones are dynamic and will change shape. Drawing that leg to the center to be able to balance, there was no change. There were no changes on that loading leg. Now, that boy is a lot smaller than Monty. So he was a large terrier. So for you to keep him mobile, that is extraordinary, because the body is always trying to be asymmetric, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I know within a couple of days, the remaining front limb had come central, and his hind limbs had kind of separated. He'd really got that tripod stamp.
Really self out. And do you find, I don't know if it's the same with the ones that I've seen, it seems like they walk and trot, or they trot really, well, they can't walk, can they? They trot or
kind of rock almost.
Right, on that diagonal, but then that back leg, if it's a front leg, is almost like a bike stand. Do you find that?
That's a perfect analogy, a bike stand. That's exactly what he's like.
Do you find that he uses that diagonal to actually propel himself along?
Yes, he does. It's incredible. And that happened within hours.
Amazing.
I mean, the day, it was 2 weeks, I think, after surgery, he went for his staples out, and we said, right, we'll take him to the beach because he loves the beach. And I could not believe it. He's romping along the beach, and Rod was like, oh, he's not going to hurt himself. He was just glad to be back in his element. It's
incredible. They are, that was a very good bit of advice that you got. They're not attached, but we are. So of course I would definitely overcompensate. I definitely would. But you sound like you've really let him go and continue being a dog, which is so important.
I mean, we have another 3 dogs in the house, and Monty is still very much in charge. He did, all of them defer to him. He commands respect, even Incredible. Now. Yeah. Incredible. And the others come and kind of sniff around him in the morning. He had a weepy eye a couple of weeks ago, and little Holly, our cockapoo, she checks his eyes every morning. and she just goes and sniffs along like, "Are you okay?" And our other dog that got Golden Doodle, we've got, he's like his wingman. When Monty goes in the garden, Scooby goes with him, and just, "I'm here for you if I'm needed," kind of. It's amazing. It's amazing how they've all rallied round and supported him.
It really is. It really is. But what I need to get from you, Sue, is a bit of time scale. So how long ago was he diagnosed, and how long ago did he have his amputation, and what was his prognosis at that stage?
So it was diagnosed at the end of November 2017. Right. So his surgery was December the 13th, 2017.
Right, so nearly 2.5
to 3 years. It's over 2.5 years now. And in fact, next week it will be 2 years and 8 months. Wow. And we were told if we did nothing, we would be looking at maybe 1 to 3 months.
Yeah.
If we did the amputation, it would be possibly 3 to 6 months. If we did amputation and chemotherapy, we'd probably more likely get the 6 months. But I actually chose not to do the chemotherapy because I thought he's been through the amputation, that's enough. I don't want him having to have anything else. And even if we'd only got a couple of months of good quality, pain-free life, that would be fine. He deserves that. And nobody is more surprised than me that he's still with us and still happy.
It is extraordinary. And we're not saying to everyone that myotherapy cures things.
God, no, not at all.
But what we're saying is it is, especially for a tripawd dog, or any dogs, any mobility, but tripawd, it is such a vital part of their multimodal team, isn't it? Because they've got to keep moving, their body keeps working and everything keeps working.
We've got some very good friends who organised a collection for him that first Christmas. I mean, we really didn't know if he would see Christmas. And they presented him with a stroller. And that has been an absolutely invaluable piece of kit for him, because it means we can take him out with the other dogs. We can go on long walks. It doesn't matter. And he now just hops in and out as he needs to. It's just great.
You know, but you've given
that.
We are so big on choice, aren't we? At Galen, we only treat choice, but you are giving him the choice too, to actually look after his own health in a way. And
he leads everything.
Yeah.
You know, some days he'll look, I'm not keen to go out today, Mum. So we don't go out. We just play scent games in the garden, or we just
he may like that anyway, mightn't he? I mean, he's doing well. He's doing well. I mean, we hate ageist people, don't we? He's not old, but he's a mature dog.
He's a mature dog, yes. He's a senior citizen.
Yeah, because you guys, he's been such an integral part. Integral part.
He has. He's changed our lives, this boy.
Really, has he? Oh, how's he done?
Well, when we first got him, Labradoodles were fairly rare. They're very common now, aren't they? But, 14 odd years ago, they were quite a rare sight. And people who had Labradoodles tend to gravitate towards each other. Oh, have you got one? And we ended up, I don't quite know how it happened, but we ended up founding a kind of walking group for doodle owners. And we used to meet once every couple of weeks and have a group walk with these strange looking dogs that they were at the time. And from that, we've met lots of really lovely people and lovely dogs. We've taken up camping again. We haven't camped for 20 years, but Monty's got us camping again. Rod and Monty have been on TV together as the dog and owner look-alike.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, they really are so much a part of us. And I think when we, as myotherapists, I think we all have dogs. I mean, and when something happens to other people's dogs, obviously we become very involved in their life and that dog's life while we're treating them.
Yes.
But when our dogs, and it's sort of, we are so involved, and it must be so difficult to be able to do that slight detachment of treating your own dog, how you, as in myotherapy, as you would another dog, because I know I've had Maggie's needed some treatment in the past for, she'd had a couple of accidents, and it's sort of different somehow. Did you find that?
Yeah, you can't be quite as objective when it's your own dog, I suppose.
It is, and they're going, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on here?
But it's interesting because I try and give him a full treatment probably once a week.
Right.
Every day I do a warm up before we go out, just get his muscles going and all of that. And I keep my eye on him, and it means I can pick up anything and treat it straight away. But when he has his kind of weekly treatment, you can see the other dogs like, oh God, it's him again. And funny enough, Rod's shoulder was bothering him a couple of weeks ago. So I said, oh, I'll give you some massage on your shoulder. Monty was like, what do you think you're doing, muscling it on my treatment? It was really funny. You could see it in his face. He's so funny. He really enjoys his treatments now, and it's special time for us too. That
as well. But you would be picking up any sort of areas of overloading information, things so very quickly. It is, I mean, again, one of the little tripods that I saw, he, about 8 weeks post-surgery, he was lying down, just went to lie down and just screamed. And again, then it stopped, and then he got up and he was fine, then he did again. And everyone thought that it was possibly phantom pain, which must be so bizarre. I mean, really bizarre.
Yeah, I can't imagine it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But he came to see me a week or so later, and what we believe it is, because he never screamed again, was actually, you talk about the scar tissue, but the skin had stuck to the tissue below. So actually, every time he tried to move, it was like
pulling.
Almost. It must most extreme pulling, tearing, searing sensation. And it was very uncomfortable for me to do the skin rolling over it.
Yeah.
He never screamed again. So it's so interesting. The more we do, the more we learn about these.
And I think you must have told me that tale at some time, because that was in the back of my mind in the early days with Monty. So I used to spend a lot, after his staples were out, I used to spend every day just doing a little bit around his scar. And we've never had any kind of evidence of phantom pain or stickiness, or he's had a few McTimony adjustments as well, which I think have helped.
Of course.
They keep him, I mean, possibly about twice a year he goes to get that. But I mean, he's amazed at how well Monty's doing.
Which is validation to you. And does he also have zoopharmacognosy? Can I say that?
He does, yeah. I've had Isla with her oils and things, and Isla does kind of energy healing with him. When he was first out of surgery, she came and it was lovely. She brought her drum and did all sorts with him, and it was really nice kind of healing atmosphere for him. And
nice for you too, yeah. So what did you do? I mean, we talk a lot about the home environment and the slippery floors and the sofas and the chairs and jumping down and that sort of thing, and how it really impacts on dogs, which is common throughout all dogs, from puppies to mature dogs. But for a three-legged dog, it must be even more so. Likewise, bowl height and things like that. Did you make?
We've done. He used to sleep upstairs with us, but he no longer does. For about the first probably month, I would say, I slept downstairs with him.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you? And then I put mats down, obviously, in the kitchen, and just so his route out to the garden. we've got raised bowls for him. He does use the raised bowls, but sometimes he'll go and scoot around the other bowls as well on the floor. So, but that was in the early days. Now it's just, well, I am who I am. I've got 3 legs. So what? I mean, really, really surprising things. He just feels better now because he's back to doing the things he always did. And he doesn't really impede him at all. Long stamina, I would say. But then he's an old dog.
Well,
so
that also, he's using different biomechanics that aren't exactly.
And it's hard work.
Hard work.
So he'll walk so far, trot so far, and then he'll have a little bit of a lie down. Yeah. And but he does it in a very nonchalant way, like, well, I'm not really lying down resting. I'm just, taking in the air.
I'm waiting. Brilliant.
And I do think a lot of it is his personality has helped him enormously.
But I think you've also enabled that by giving the choices of doing things, and that buggy is just such a wonderful.
That's just brilliant.
Yeah. It's so lovely. I think we do forget that we have limited sensory apparatus, but a dog knows, even if they can't be walking, just to get out and sniff and observe, but sniff, observe, hear, absorb.
His nose does not stop twitching when we're out, even when he's in his buggy. His head's going and it pops it out at the top of the buggy and looks around, and it's just great.
Brilliant.
Really great.
So I just think always I am the ridiculous optimist, and I know you are the same. And I always feel that out of adversity, we gain strength, but also we always have to look at the positive. And because of dear Monty, who I did meet when he was a 4-legged boy. So
yes, you did.
How integral he is to your family. But he has taught you so much, and you've of him. And really, all I'm going to say on this is it's important that if anyone has got a 3-legged dog, they are called Tripaws, and they are many groups, aren't there, which is wonderful. We all need support in this. But if you want any advice from Sue, and you've said that the techniques that we can teach by our distance support program is something that can really help, in your opinion, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the effleurage and skin rolling, I would say, are the 2 that I use most often with him. Yeah.
But in that wonderfully targeted way,
yes,
whatever the loading is presenting. So if anyone does need any help,
happy to help.
That would be lovely. Well, the distance support is that Sue will assess your dog, and based on all her amazing experience, she can give you lots of advice of how to manage and how to treat your own dog. See, as much as I would love to be up in Morpeth or anyone else around there, you don't need to be, because this is the one thing that Monty is going to give through his experience. He can help other dogs.
Indeed. And as he was helped by little Maggie, the terrier.
Exactly. And that's a very neat way to come back to Maggie Mumbles. So I think it's such an inspiring story, this, and there's so much more to this, that if anyone has got questions, please pose them to us, either via email on the website or on the, because this will be obviously published, or to just directly go on the website, on the Galen Myotherapy website, and contact Sue through the practitioner.
Happy to help anybody. He's exceeded every expectation.
It's amazing.
And every day we have with him is an absolute bonus.
It really is, because he was older and bigger than is normal for this sort of amazing success. So depending on how many more questions and anything else that might come up, we may well have a number 2 section of the amazing Tripawd dog, because there's so much that we can talk about for this to give people and dogs a lot of support.
Happy to do that. More than happy. I will talk about Monty all day long.
I sort of feel you can, and I'm very happy to listen. So thank you so much for your time. I think you really have given people a lot of idea and hope and inspiration. So
hope and inspiration is what I you know, I know how I felt that first day. I thought, well, that's it.
exactly.
And he proved that it's not.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are one of the greatest optimists out. So you must
try to be.
Absolutely. So it's lovely to see you.
You too.
See you
Thanks.
soon.